Welcome, everyone. We are so happy to have you with us. My name is Joanne Barefoot, and I am the CEO and co-founder of the Alliance for Innovative Regulation, or AIR. We are a nonprofit that is dedicated to trying to bring the technology of the financial and regulatory and compliance worlds into the digital age, including reducing the burden of compliance on community banks. And we're thrilled to be joining with the ICBA and the Venture Center on this important effort today. America has 30 million small businesses. They employ more than half the private workforce, and we know that some sectors of small business are potentially at risk of mass extinction in this global pandemic. So we're all working in the ways that we can to help with it. And at AIR, this is the second of two events that we've done that we call Safe Small Business. The first was a hackathon that we put on the same night the CARES Act was passed. And it worked on the front end of the PPP process. And then today what we're doing is focusing, as you know, on the next big hurdle that's ahead for all of us, which is the forgiveness section. As of last night, the SBA had put out $512 billion in loans under the program through 5,500 lenders. And of that, banks under $1 billion accounted for the biggest share, nearly $82 billion. More than 870,000 loans were made by 3,600 institutions. Small banks are the life's blood of your community. I've spent a lot of time with small community banks, and we know that you need to help your businesses survive and thrive through this problem. And we know that technology is a big part to do that. So we know you're making nothing short of heroic efforts to do that, and we want to try today to equip you with some tools that are going to help. So it is my pleasure to introduce now Charles Potts, who is the Senior Vice President and Chief Innovation Officer of the ICBA, to tell you about today's program. And I hope everyone brought your lunch or your breakfast, because we're going to enjoy a couple of hours of really interesting conversation. Charles.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you to AIR and your team for helping spawn this idea behind this showcase. We appreciate the efforts you guys all put forth. And to all the bankers attending today and all of our special guests, thank you all for assembling today to see this showcase. And especially a big thanks to our panelists today, some of our leadership bankers who have graciously given of their time to support this effort. We have Jack Hardings, our chairman of the board from People's Bank in Ohio, Bob Fisher, president and CEO of Tioga State Bank, and Brad Bolton, president and CEO of Community Spirit Bank. On April 8th, the ICBA and our partners at the Venture Center put on a virtual demo day, highlighting the services of the 9 companies that we had graduated from our second year of the ICBA fintech Accelerator program. That unique one-of-a-kind program allows us to identify, refine, and promote what we describe as mission-driven innovation for the community banking industry. Bringing together community banks and fintech companies is an important mission for the ICBA, and today's showcase is a natural extension of that mission. This time, however, we're addressing a very critical, unique challenge our community banks and their small business customers are facing around these PPP loans at the time of this COVID crisis. So I'm very, very pleased that we could do this in a mere matter of days. We and our partners at AIR and the Venture Center have been able to bring together an amazing group of fintech companies from around the country that you will see today pitch their services and their capabilities around the PPP loan forgiveness and servicing and perfecting of these PPP loans, all of which are very important issues, obviously, to the community bank marketplace and the small business customers that they so heroically have served throughout this process. Everybody involved has been willing to roll up their sleeves in a very quick and disciplined manner and tackle these technical challenges around the all-important Payroll Protection Program. And we're very excited that we've had them be able to come join us for this showcase today. It's my hope that you'll see some solutions that can help address your bank's needs to better service your communities and we appreciate each and every one of you participating here today. It's my pleasure to hand the program over to one of our most important partners, Wayne Miller, who helps run the ICBA FintechTech Accelerator program as the Executive Director of the Venture Center in Little Rock, Arkansas. Wayne, take it away.
Thanks, Charles, and thanks, Joanne. It is a pleasure to partner with you guys in these extraordinary times to help find some solutions for, as I like to suggest, the ventilators for small business who are community banks throughout this country, but also more importantly, the fintechs who in a very cooperative and collaborative fashion today have come to the table in what some people would perceive would be a competitive environment. So we'll look at this as co-opetition. Hope you all have grabbed a sandwich. We're going to try to get underway here quickly. Let me just quickly reflect on the process of today a little bit. So we will go through the companies. There are 12 of them with us today. We will do that in alphabetical order. They will be giving their demonstrations in a 5-minute time frame. And then our distinguished panel of bankers, Jack, Bob, and Brad, will have 2 minutes in which to ask questions. We'll also field some questions from the audience as well. We have over 350 participants with us today. Thank you all for joining. I think we ought to get underway here. So I'd like to ask Abrigo, Nolan, if you would like to take the screen and share your screen with us. Others, I would ask that you go on mute, and let's go ahead and get started.
Thank you. I'm Nolan Gesher. With me is Aaron Whitener. We're both from Abrigo. Abrigo stood up over 275 institutions and helped our clients make nearly 120,000 PPP loans. We're leveraging the lessons learned from this success in the forgiveness phase of PPP. The Abrigo solution really provides 3 key benefits to our clients. Simplicity. We take the highly complex PPP forgiveness process and distill it down to the straightforward. Efficiency. We automate and streamline the tasks associated with forgiveness. And compliance. We will leverage the deep analytical rigor of Abrigo solutions to ensure that our forgiveness solution is SBA and PPP compliant. And with that, Aaron will demonstrate the Abrigo forgiveness solution.
Excellent. Thank you, Nolan. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaron Whitener. I'm the Director of Solutions Consulting at Abrigo. I'm going to be walking through what we're doing from a product standpoint to help our customers combat some of the challenges on the horizon as it pertains to the forgiveness and servicing components of the overall Paycheck Protection Program. You should be seeing my screen now. I'm going to walk through this as quickly as I can. One thing to call out here, we are web-based and enterprise-wide. As you can see, I'm in a web browser. The next aspect of this, we'll be making sure that all of our customers can get their PPP loans into our system. Regardless of where those sit today, whether they are on your core or they are present in eTran only or in some other data repository, we have a streamlined mechanism to make sure that we can get the entirety of your PPP portfolio into our system, which will allow you to easily monitor, record, report, etc., as well as perform any of the functions that we've outlined to help automate as much of the forgiveness and servicing aspects as possible. So step 1 is integrating your data. That's something that we've done well over 1,600 times with over 52 unique core families. Wherever that data sits, we're going to get it into our system. From there, I'll be able to monitor all of the PPP loans, as well as perform the administrative functions that are outlined in the forgiveness portions of this process. Namely, collecting the information from your borrowers in terms of their both eligible and non-eligible expenses so that we can calculate the forgivable amounts of those loans. Directly from this interface, I will be able to push a button to distribute what we are calling our client portal link directly to our borrowers to collect this information. So I can generate a link. It will go directly to my borrower. The borrower would open up their email. This would be configured however the institution wants in terms of wording, colors, logos, etc. They will click the link, which takes them to a streamlined 3508. Important to know that we're not just attaching the SBA's form and saying good luck over the next 180 minutes in trying to decipher guidance. So we are distilling this down. We have deconstructed the 3508, making it very easy, kind of a wizard-like approach for your borrower to fill this information out. We're also embedding what we call tooltips along the way to make sure it's very clean and concise and easy to understand and interpret from a borrower standpoint. As they're moving through this, we're aggregating all of the information and automatically calculating the total forgivable amount of their original PPP loan. Along the way, they will easily be able to upload any and all supporting documentation as outlined by guidance directly into their portal. This will also allow your borrowers to easily e-sign and distribute e-signature capability to other emails that may be necessary. Beyond that, we have integrations with service providers such as Plaid to easily integrate payroll information, not just uploading supporting documentation. So I can put in my credentials for my paychecks, Paycor, ADP, Intuit, etc., and scrape information from my payroll provider directly into my forgiveness portal. Once I've completed my form, the lending institution will receive notification back on your side of the equation. I'll be able to review all of the forgivable amount calculation, as well as easily view all supporting documentation directly in the interface. That looks very similar to what the borrower sees. Very important that we're making a correlation between those two so I can triage any issues as necessary. I'm just moving through, validating all of the expense calculations, FTE calculations, the total forgivable amount, and any supporting documentation.
Aaron, you've got about 30 seconds.
Thank you. If everything looks good, I will mark this loan as what we're calling 1502 ready directly in the interface, at which point all of the loan level information will transfer directly into an automated 1502 report for easy submission through either Colson or eTran. Also, we have a dedicated eTran integration where all of the data will auto-populate a 3508, and with the push of a button, I can transmit that data directly into an eTran environment.
Thanks, Aaron.
So automation, yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Hate to cut you off, but we got a lot of folks to get through today. Thank you. I also want to make for all of our participants today that the opportunity for you to learn more about these companies is easily done through the link that is behind me here. So if you look, you'll see venturecenter.co/PPP Tech. Each of the company's logo is listed there. You'll have an opportunity to be able to learn more about them and connect with them directly. I'd like to now go to our judges for questions to direct to either Nolan or Aaron, respectively. Jack, did you want to kick us off here?
Yes, Nolan or Aaron, can you talk about, there are several different data points you can use for a reference period or covered period or FTEs. Does your software somehow give a what-if scenario so our clients can find what the best solution is for them?
I'll take that. So we are interpreting guidance several different ways. As everyone knows, fluid situation that we're monitoring closely. We are deciding whether or not we're going to take it down two different paths depending on business type to make sure that the borrower knows exactly what they need to fill out. If we end up going with just one client portal based on the guidance as it stands today, it'll be very clearly outlined to both lender and borrower what we're looking for in each field. So we're interpreting the guidance as it reads, and we'll have those as tooltips for both borrower and lender to review so that they know exactly what we need in each data input category.
And then just one follow-up on integration. If we integrate out of our core or some other system, should we anticipate costs to that integration from that source as well?
No, through our methodology, we have a standard template that allows us to easily ingest that information regardless of source. So it's likely that wherever those loans sit today, even if they're in eTran, as long as you can get that data to Excel or CSV format, we will be able to integrate it. eTran doesn't charge to get their information to Excel, neither does the vast majority of the core providers in the market.
Hey, we're sort of on questions, Bob. Quickly.
I just wanted to ask pricing, stand-up time, and contract length, if you can cover those quickly.
Sure, I'll take that. So pricing is based on a per loan basis, and obviously it scales. So the more loans that you have, the pricing scales down from there. In terms of stand-up time, from the time that you get us your data, we can get you stood up within 48 hours. The only caveat to that is that you kind of do it the Abrigo way, if you will. So we've refined the process pretty tightly. If you kind of follow the order of things, do what we're asking, the way that we're asking the order, then we can absolutely get you stood up in that time frame.
Okay, thanks.
Thank-
Appreciate that. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, Nolan. Next up, we've got Cirrus Secure. David, you want to unmute and share your screen with us, and we'll get going.
Great. Thank you. It's good to be with you all. I'm going to start my timer here so I don't lose track, because I tend to do that. So welcome to Cirrus. We're all about doubling your loan production. And prior to PPP, our background was very much about serving the SBA lending community. If you think about a $40 billion a year lending volume industry that's now essentially doing about 100 times the volume it usually does, we certainly have felt the strain as well. We quickly have adapted our software platform for PPP, and we're now looking at further adaptations for the forgiveness portion. A little bit of background about us: we are a lot smaller than Abrigo and some of the other players, but we're really focused on helping double production via killing off document chaos, which usually shows up in the form of a question. Where are we? Where are we with my loan? Where are we with the forgiveness? If anyone in lending has heard this question, where are we? And there are a lot of manifestations of chaos. So we really have focused very deeply on, again, mitigating this issue. It's really an unnecessary evil in lending. There's really no reason we should be confused about where the correct version is, where we are in the deal. There are ways technology can address these issues. And really, it's more than just documents, right? We've got frustration with the borrower. I go out to ask for more documents, and the borrower says, "What do you mean? I thought you were here with an approval." I send up a credit package that's not decision ready, and my credit officer thinks, well, David doesn't maybe know what he's doing, because he brings me this package without the AR aging I need to decision this ABL deal. So all of this, of course, drives up servicing costs and delays the accretion of interest and assets on the balance sheet. So that's our background. We are by lenders for lenders. Everything in our system has been driven by requests from customers. We are not dealing with accounting. We're not directly transferring and housing PII. We're housing that inside the documents that we're building automated workflows around. And what I'll show you now is just some of what we've done to adapt to PPP. We do have the ability to do a live demo, but I just feel like, having talked about this so many times, we wanted to lay it out in a slide deck, and this will be available if you request it. So the borrower can be directed to a live link that's public facing, that has a message, a photo, or anything else. We can trigger videos around it, but basically put in some basic information so we can keep track of who's requesting the loan. And then an automated workflow begins with the customer dropping what you've requested onto the placeholder in the digital checklist. We can accept files up to 1 gigabyte and over 150 file types. We can convert files to PDF. We've got some on-screen and live assistants. We're really focused on serving the borrowers. They're often underserved by our industry, so we really spend a lot of time thinking about how to make this a really easy system for the job creators and risk takers here in our society that we serve. So once the borrower clicks Apply Now, they're taken into, they get an email notification, and that triggers a workflow inside Cirrus. So what you're looking at here is the internal view from a lender's standpoint. You've got the ability to preview documents, pop them out into a larger window. We can strip passwords out of PDFs. If you have the password once, you don't have to chase it around in an email. We're automatically renaming the files according to the naming convention and creating streamlined packages for different use cases because different cuts of the file are needed for different users downstream. We can use machine learning to assess the contents of documents if that's needed. We've got an integration with DocuSign. And really what we're doing in forgiveness is saying, let's set up a standard package of documents that we need every time, and we can streamline it from there. So why don't I pause there? The last thing I want to say is this is the borrower's view live view inside the status of their documents and the deal as a whole. So they're not calling you saying, where are we? They can see in an easy color-coded checklist exactly where we are.
Great job. Thank you. If you could, once again, for those of you who want to know more, venturecenter.co/PPP Tech. Jack, we started with you. Bob, let's start with you this time, if you have a question.
I'm curious, is this geared towards the forgiveness or for the application process for PPP? I mean, it's by what you showed us, it looks like it's more geared towards the application than the forgiveness piece.
Thank you, Bob. What we're doing for forgiveness, because we do serve a lot of people who took in those applications through our platform, but we're just getting a feed out of a core system that's, hey, what did we fund? I mean, part of our strategy is that you don't have to replace your whole accounting system to adopt Cirrus. We can bolt on and integrate. So we get a feed of the loans that are needed to be forgiven, and we automate a bulk notice to every borrower, come here to fill out the application for forgiveness. So it's sort of midstream for us, but we're absolutely doing that. In some cases for existing banks where multiple divisions made PPP loans, that's one thing we're doing.
Brad, how about you?
Again, I think pricing, stand-up time would be another important one. And then what's your integration between core systems and how do you upload even existing PPP applications? Will it flow to the E-Trend system, to COSN, whatever that's going to look like for all of us, both in the application and the forgiveness phase?
Yeah, so stand-up time is actually very, very rapid. I mean, we can do it in really minutes as far as getting your branded version up and running. The import, we're sort of at your mercy there as far as when you can get us a feed of essentially 5 fields. We basically need some really some very high level information to get a loan tape going. From an integration standpoint, a lot of what we're doing is based upon the fact that we're built as an API, the whole platform, and we can also deploy webhooks. From a cost standpoint, we historically have offered a per user license fee. We've also done some deals where we took a portion of the agency fee, and then we've also got the ability to do it on a per loan basis. So we're small, we can be very flexible, but client first is our mantra, so that shows up in our pricing as well.
Thank you both very much. Okay, David, if you can unshare your screen, and let's next go to CLA. Who's going to speak to us from CLA today? If you could share your screen, please, and unmute.
This
Great
is
job.
David Henneke from CLA. I'm going to share my screen now. All right. So thank you, everybody. As I mentioned, my name is David Henneke, and I'm with the accounting firm of CLA. We are the 8th largest accounting firm in the country. And we started our process of identifying how we can help our community banking clients with the forgiveness process by trying to start by identifying the pain points, which led us to create this flow chart of the phases and the related tasks that we feel at present time, based on current guidance, that borrowers or that lenders are going to have to do related to getting their borrowers in compliance with what they're going to need from an SBA forgiveness process. And so that started with planning, education of your borrowers, making sure they're aware of what they need to do, processing those applications, and where we want to spend and focus most of our time on is the lender review of the borrower application, because depending on the guidance that the SBA releases related to what the lender's responsibilities are, that could approach a wide variety of different outcomes as to what the expectation is up to the level of detail of the review that is intended for you to perform. And so in order to do that, we developed several tools to help facilitate that process with your borrower. The first of which is a documentation portal, which you're seeing here. This is populated via an extraction from your core system to where we would outline specific data elements that are needed that would then get upgraded to the portal to essentially populate this with all of your PPP loans. An automated email would then be sent to all the borrowers that are uploaded to this portal that would then provide them with login information to where they would enter in they would set up their security credentials, passwords, security questions, so on and so forth, to which then you as the lender would have access to this view and then be able to see all the loans out here. We then would move into the lender view, or excuse me, the borrower view. The borrower would then see this based on their loan being tied to their security credential by their email, which then you'll see on this page as an outline of the PPP application to where they're going to begin to enter in information. And there will be several spots to where they can upload information that isn't tied to a specific schedule on the application. And so this is the starting point that begins the data intake for review of the application provided by the borrower. So then after they upload that information, it'll take them to a number of screens to where they can begin to upload the supporting documentation as outlined by the SBA application. And there's also a part where we have several payroll softwares that if they are using either ADP or QuickBooks at present time, there's a specific report that can be generated out there that a script will run behind the scenes to aggregate information automatically to verify what they provided you was accurate from a standpoint of their payroll costs. And similarly, the benefits and taxes as it relates to health benefits, retirement benefits, the utility payments, the rent, all that good stuff would all have spots for upload that would then be downloaded automatically into a secure network drive within CLA so that we can help you begin the review process. Because the next phase that it goes into is once the documents are uploaded, it'll go through a validation process where the borrower will click validate. And then if everything checks out, they can click submit. When a loan is then submitted, it will drop into this workflow on the back end of the CLA side to where it'll say go from no information provided to in process, to which then we'll have data or have resources available to begin to check in and review those loans. And so when a reviewer is done reviewing the loan, they'll move it over to the quality review field just simply by dragging and dropping it. We'll have a secondary review done of that loan. And then if additional information is needed, we'd move it into that column, which then an additional request would be fed through the portal to the borrower requesting some more information until we ultimately get to the completed analysis and that the application is ready for submission. This workflow then populates a dashboard that will be available to you as the lender to give you the status of where all these loans are at. And so you'll see that this would be an example PPP portfolio, and using the Power BI functionality, this is all pliable in that if I wanted to look at just loan officer one's loans, I'd click on that and it would bring them all up. If I wanted, go ahead.
30 seconds, please. Thanks.
Okay, yep. If I wanted to know additional information, how much are left for additional information, I'd simply click that. If I wanted to find specific information about a loan, I would click through here to where it would have the PPP information that they submitted, as well as any open requests that are still outstanding and how long those requests have been outstanding to the borrower. So it's meant to offer a holistic approach from data intake to review to reporting, and then provide you with the documentation that will then be submitted to the SBA. So with that, we'll open it up for questions.
You're on mute, Wayne.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bob, do you want to go ahead and start us off?
As far as helping the customer, do you have some of the information built into this so that it would help a customer work through? Because that's my biggest fear, is that most of our customers are not going to be able to know how to find this data or this information. We had trouble enough helping them fill out just the application, which was pretty basic.
Yeah, a great question. In the interest of time, I didn't go through some additional ancillary things that will be done, but there is going to be web links that will be outlined here to where we're going to be recording videos that will be uploaded into the portal to walk them through the application, to talk about what information should go where based on the guidance as it evolves. And then there's also, we'll also have spreadsheet tools that they can also use to help facilitate computation of that information. So that is to be uploaded to here once we get more guidance as to what goes where, but that will be updated as that information comes out.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jack?
Is the bank able to upload some of that information on behalf of our customers? We kind of found out in the application process about 30% actually dropped off their documents to our institution.
So right now, it's explicitly geared for the borrower to do it because their security credential will be tied to an email. We could work through ways to sort that out, but right now that is not the case, because we want to. The one thing that we were kind of concerned about is we wanted to make sure the barriers between the borrower and the bank are somewhat there, so that the hold harmless provisions of how the SBA granted the banks hold harmless for preparation of some of this. We didn't want it to be construed in some way that the bank somehow, I guess, filled this out to where it could jeopardize the hold harmless provision. That may be a conservative approach to it, but that's kind of the stance we're taking now. But I'm sure we could work through that in some form or fashion through some other secure platform.
Great, David. That kind of wraps up the question time for you. Thank you.
Hey, Wayne, can I just ask one quick thing? Do you have e-sign built into this, or some ability to do e-sign? Sorry.
E-sign is currently not built into this, but it is being worked on in the platform. But currently, no, e-sign is not built in.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
David, if you could unshare your screen, please. And FinSync will be up next, please. Got it, Eddie?
Yep. Can you see my screen?
You can. You're good to go.
Perfect. Thank you. This is Eddie Davis from FinSync. We'll be talking about our plug-and-play PPP forgiveness solution. To give you a quick overview, I'd like to tell you where we were prior to PPP and how we adapted those tools, and now are adapting those for forgiveness. Our perspective on what the problem to be addressed is today, and then our solution, which we break out into 3 phases: customer education, the intake part, and then processing, ultimately submitting that to SBA, and then of course cover costs and implementation and next steps. Prior to COVID-19, we are a provider of traditional financing electronic business loan application tools, and those are connected to our lenders portal, which is a multi-user loan review workflow management tool. Separately, we have a vetted network of accountants that businesses can hire on a project basis. And so when PPP came around, we adapted those tools for PPP1, PPP2. Now we're adopting those for PPP forgiveness. And I think a key differentiator here is that, as many of you have alluded to, the forgiveness application is of a similar level of complexity to a tax return. And so looking to be able to provide help without doing it internally, right, is important to this process. So the problem as we see it is there's a huge volume of PPP forgiveness applications that will be need to be processed quickly. Due to COVID, no in-person or across the desk applications are possible. Constantly changing SBA guidance, we expect that to continue throughout this process, and even after the first forgiveness applications start to flow through. And bankers are not advisors or accountants. So our solution is customer education via AI and a calculator during what we're calling the education phase, and we're updating those and distributing those, as people are starting to round their 8-week window. For those that find it too much for them internally to complete the application, access to our vetted network of accountants, to also connectivity to their accountant if needed. When it's time to receive that application, a bank-branded intake form that very closely mirrors the SBA's PDF. And then after password creation, the portal, which also is where clients are going to upload their supporting documentation. And then the portal itself has the multi-user environment for the bank team to pass it between different hands that need to review it and ultimately move it on to SBA. Of course, this is all electronic. There's no IT integration required. We do not connect to cores. We're very affordable, and there's no long-term commitment. So this is our process in phases. The education phase is where most PPP loan recipients are today. During this phase, we're giving them the guide and the calculator, and then making accountants available or giving them connectivity to theirs. They'll then submit electronically through that branded intake form, and then it passes into the lender's portal, which is where the team will then review it, move it through to ultimately internally approved and ready for SBA submission. Our education tools, guide, and calculator, these are timestamped. We fully expect to release multiple versions of this before PPP forgiveness submission begins, and thereafter, if this mirrors the way PPP went. Connectivity to their existing accountant, or going to our app to hire a gig economy accountant who is providing forgiveness, assistance, and consulting. It is a branded experience. It is gamified. It walks them through, capturing all the information as required by SBA. And then we generate an email welcoming them to their portal where they can upload their documents. And there is a flow of documents, recommended documents to upload there. And of course, the notifications, right, as this happens. The processing part, it is a multi-user workflow management tool. Multiple handoffs are anticipated. So if somebody who works at the beginning can claim an application, work it, sign off, hand it on. Ultimately until it makes its way to electronic submission to SBA or manual submission. And we're a plug-and-play solution. So again, there's no IT investment required with us. There is no core connectivity. We partition the portal for each bank and also their intake form, and that takes us minutes. And then as we deploy from our education phase all the way through to SBA submission, we're providing visibility throughout that process at the level of each business, where they are.
Please. Thanks.
Our cost is $350 per month per lender user, no long-term contracts, $25 per successful SBA e-submission, and we have no implementation fees. So please do contact us, schedule an individual demo for more detailed questions, and I'll turn it over to the panel for questions now.
Great. Thanks, Eddie. Brad, do you want to start us off, please?
Sure. So you're not tied to the core, you're not integrated to the core, so will there not be a lot of manual input from the bank into your system? And then are you tied to E-Tran or COSN in any way?
First question is, we consume the loan recipients, so the PPP funded folks, in a data table, and manage it from there at the beginning of the implementation process. Second part, exploring multiple options.
Bob?
I think he's answered most everything. I don't know if Jack has anything.
Yeah, Jack, you have anything?
Eddie, your calculator, will you put that out in advance so the customer can do what ifs to see what best reference period or FTE period he should use?
Yes, it's available now. We've had people using it. All of those materials, there's a guide, which is about a 7-page PDF, and the calculator is multi-tab. They go together. They are time-stamped. They will be updated throughout the process. We suspect, even beyond the first forgiveness applications, that more guidance will be doled out piecemeal. So we fully anticipate updating these, however many times required throughout the process. But yeah, they're available now, and they're available to anybody on this call who'd like a copy as well.
Yeah, thanks very much, guys. Eddie, great job. If you could unshare your screen. Next up, we have a foundation. If you could introduce yourself and take control of the screen. Thanks.
Sure. Thanks, everyone, and Wayne and everyone else. Foundation and EXL greatly appreciate the opportunity. The Venture Center, AIR, and the ICBA. My colleagues at EXL, and I'll get into exactly why that is the case, are sharing some slides here. Really quickly, going into the first slide, Foundation was involved in 2 major bank, PPP origination processes. So processing well over, into the 6-digit numbers of applications. So when it came to forgiveness, we decided to look for a partner, and that was EXL, given their experience in several of these areas. It became clear to us that it was not just going to be about digital automation, but there's also going to be a lot of integration, data extraction, document upload, and even manual audit on the back end. So, our logic and our process was to take sort of the best of both worlds with Foundation and its digital origination experience and combine that with the operations and analytics that EXL is so well known for. So, with that, I'll pass it over to my colleague at EXL, Deepak, to continue with the quick introduction, and then we'll get into the demo. Deepak, you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah. So as John mentioned, right, EXL, similar to Foundation, also supported 6 of the top 10 US banks in their PPP application. And what we are doing now is in partnership with Foundation, providing an end-to-end experience, right? So it's not only just the front-end portal that is required to collect application and the documentation around it, but a lot of efficiency tools in the back end, right? So which is how do you validate the content that has been provided in the front end by using our information extraction, statement mining kind of tools. And also the bedrock of our solution is we have been working with 21 of the leading 25 carriers, insurance carriers in their workers' compensation. So the right side of our capability that you see, we have been providing payroll audit for the last 20 years, which we believe is going to be very, very relevant for automating and as well as validating some of the back-end audit process that's required. So we'll talk more about what that is. And we do believe that we are more end-to-end. And if we go on to the next page, I'll just speak to the components. The one differentiating factor from some of the other colleagues I've heard is while we do have the end-to-end capabilities, these are modular in nature. So right from the front, which is a tech interface, which allows the borrower to fill in the application and do all the good stuff that most of us saw. The second is obviously the lender interface to do the workflow and reporting of where the application is and to provide the approvals and the case management around it. But what you also see at the bottom are the 3 other capabilities which we believe are differentiator. And the important thing is they are modular in nature. So we don't need to or a bank partner or a lender partner doesn't need to take all of these capabilities. These are modular. So you can decide that, oh, I have the tech interface in front end. All I need is a digital automation capabilities. And we'll talk about and do a demo of what those are. All I need is ops people to validate some of the process that's associated with the forgiveness, right? So irrespective of how we believe the solution would be, there would be some manual work. And hence the manual QC review layer is important. The last thing is also the SPA integration. As in the initial phase, we have the ability to provide an automated upload to the eTran portal, and that also can be modular. I'll actually go over to the next page to talk about how our approach is slightly different from what you see, and then we do jump into a quick demo. So what we are seeing is going to be a 3 kind of a pronged approach or a tiered approach. We believe there's going to be a percentage of applications which we are pegging at around 75% or so, which would be what we're calling the express processing of forgiveness, where we have run our checks, we have validated the document submitted to the input provided, we know what the customer is, and we are going to do this fairly efficiently. There might be a component which we believe is probably going to be in this 20-25% range, which will require what we are calling a higher touch, either interaction driven by the complexity of the loan, or maybe the user is not educated, or in some cases, the loan amount and the complexity of the application, meaning the number of employees, will actually require them to have a platinum or a premium touch, which is where our audit capabilities and the premium audit platform comes in. So that's our approach. I'll quickly jump into and do a quick demo of.
Mac, you're out of time. Sorry, you're right at 5 minutes, so I got to cut you short. We got a lot of other folks to do this. So.
Sure. Deepak and Ron, can you, while the 2-minute panel is going, you could just run the demo video in the background so people can see it as we're talking through the Q&A follow-up.
Yeah, so Ron, I'll skip the portal, which everybody has seen it, but I think the automation engine is going to be critical. Yeah.
Go ahead with the question, sorry.
Yeah.
Brad, you want to kick us off?
Oh, yeah. What about the 1502 reporting? Is there any mechanism that y'all have to automate that to report the loans as funded? And you might just give us your website. Do you have like a demo of that to see what it's going to look forward facing for the customer since we run out of time?
Yeah, so the customer interaction is going to be very similar, just going to be sort of our UI UX, where you're going to have a calculator that's walking you through each of the different steps. I think that is sort of fairly standard. You know, the integration is going to be very similar to what you saw or what others are thinking about, where you really just need to provide the database with all the relevant customer information, where the customer will put in their PPP loan number. It would populate then, and they can validate that information exists there. So hopefully that answers the question. I'll let Deepak speak to the 1502.
Yeah, so as I said, we will be able to automate that as well to upload 1502 as well.
Jack, did you have a question?
You've kind of given us an indication you've done this for very large institutions. Tell me how you think your solution is going to work for a community bank, especially in stand-up and pricing.
Yeah, so so the application, the first part, let me clarify, right? So today we do almost 300,000 audits, and these are a wide variety of insurance carriers of all sizes, right? So what it allows us is to give an end-to-end platform where if somebody doesn't have a portal, they can log into our platform, upload these applications, and we can serve them end-to-end, as I mentioned, right? So it's not necessarily only for the larger banks, but even for the smaller institutions, we have the ability to support them.
Great. Thanks, Jonathan. Thanks, Deepak. Again, sorry for keeping this kind of short, but
them's are the rules.
Yeah, and I just would like to say to everybody who's participating from a fintech perspective today that we really want to try to focus on the demos as much as possible today, and the sales opportunities will present themselves later, obviously. So if we can get to the demos pretty rapidly, that'd be quite useful. Next up, we have Numerated. If you will take control of the screen and introduce yourself, please, we'll look forward to seeing the next presentation.
Great. Thank you. Hello, everyone. This is Adam Kenny with Numerated. Can you all hear me okay?
We can. You're good to go.
Excellent. All right. So in response to your request there, I'll keep this very brief. Numerated is about a 4-year-old fintech company focused on supporting various banks and their small business clients. We've been especially known for our interactions in helping to process SBA loans over that period of time, and in the recent origination of PPP loans, helped to originate loans for over 160,000 small businesses across the U.S. This is at a very high level what I'm going to walk through, at least as much as I can in a demo, our forgiveness process. So it really starts with a calculator that will allow the borrowers, primarily in a self-service mode. We do support banker-led as well. I'm going to show you the self-service though today. They'll come in, they'll fill in the form, the automatic calculations will take effect. There is a very iterative process where they can come back and upload all of their supporting documentation before ultimately passing it on to the bank. The bank then will have an opportunity to review and validate and ultimately approve the forgiveness request before we will then produce the necessary outputs to both process the request with the SBA as well as make changes and onboard the forgiveness request with your core system. And then a host of status reporting and audit reporting capabilities that we probably won't have time for today, but those are available on the platform as well. Real quick note before I get to the demo, we support all PPP loans, not just those that we've originated. We've created a very simple Excel-based process where you'll give us a limited number of required fields. I think we're at about 18 to 20 right now based on the guidance that came out last Friday. As long as we get those 18 fields, regardless of how you get them to us, we will be able to process the PPP loans, the forgiveness requests for those PPP loans. So keep that in mind as we get into the demo. So let me switch to that real quick. I have started with an application here. Again, information is preloaded, so we know who the business is. We know a bunch of information that came over from the PPP loan itself. We then asked the borrower to come in and fill out a series of fields. We've spent a lot of time over the last 4 or 5 days trying to streamline the form. So whereas the Schedule A and the supporting calculation form are over 40 fields, through our ability to preload and automate the calculations, we have narrowed it down just over half of that to about 20 bits of information that we need the borrower to provide as the initial input. And you can see here where I've pre-filled that. And ultimately, at the end, we will automate the calculations. Throughout the entire process, we're giving them lots of tool tips, both on the application itself. We also have a bunch of content available off application. So as they're working towards this step, they can become educated into what does it really mean and what qualifies for the various aspects that go into either the Schedule A or the calculation form. Just to move us forward, at that point, then they would submit their initial form, and that takes us into the document, or I should say the supporting documentation phase of the project or the workflow. This is really their home throughout. You can see they can come back to this portal as often as they want. We'll always tell them the status. They can go back and edit the application. So if they find out after they get their utility bill that they spent $1,200 instead of $1,000 on their utilities, just go back, you make the change, and then you come back here, and this is where you can upload all of the documents. We have a secure file upload facility that allows them to do that. They can upload any and all of the different payroll files, employee records, other receipts as necessary. Those all become visible in platform, including when they did it, so they can keep track over time. It's our belief that this is going to be a prolonged process, not something that is once and done by any means. And so as they do that, they can also send communications back to the bank as to where they are in the process. Real quick to show you what that looks like in the banker platform. They, of course, can monitor this and they can participate as much as they'd like, but they would be able to see, for example, when the borrower has indicated that they have certain things done and see all the documents even before it's final and submitted. They also can comment back and say, still need Boston. Sorry.
And we're about out of time, so if you could try to wrap it up, that'd be
perfect.
Great.
And so they can send document requests back to the borrower as well. So ultimately, they go through that process, they submit it, the bank will approve it. We have DocuSign integration, so the actual forms themselves are pre-filled and ultimately signed by the borrower and the banker. And then that just takes us to the last step. Once everything's done, we produce all of the necessary reports for that to then get submitted to the SBA. Whatever the 1502 ends up looking like, that will be included, as well as an onboarding report for you to make the changes on your core system for the loans. And I guess I will pause for questions since I'm probably out of time.
Thanks very much. Great. Hey, Jack, you want to kick us off? Looks like you've got a question, please.
Yes. You've got covered period on there, and there's two choices of covered period. Once the customer chooses which period he's going to use, does it have a check and balance to make sure all expenses are in those same time periods?
So we don't have any sort of technology check and balance. We give guidance to both the borrower and to the banker throughout the process and make sure that the chosen covered period is very visible. Ultimately, it is up to the borrower to make sure that he or she is uploading the appropriate expenses that align with that, as well as for the bank to do any validation that they feel is necessary. Again, we're not doing sort of a tight connection from each individual document to the cover period, though.
And do you want to answer pricing and stand-up time?
Yeah, so for pricing, we're doing it on a per request basis, and happy to talk offline more specifically and make sure that we can come up with a price that meets your budget. We do work with banks of all sizes, and pricing has never been a problem for us. I'll just say that up front. The second thing, in terms of stand-up time, we have intentionally designed this and really the entire process around PPP to be fast. I'll point you to this quote from Pinnacle. We stood them up in a matter of days. Our process is equally lightweight here with the forgiveness side, so that we can do the same thing. We do take a data import, but we've kept it simple with an Excel-based import. So there really isn't any IT work. There's no heavy tech integration. We are known for being able to get banks live in a matter of days.
Bob, did you have a question?
Any integration with the core systems, or you guys aren't really, it's more geared not to integrate with the core system, you just need the data file?
From the lightweight perspective, it's the data file. We've obviously got a lot of experience in providing data and getting data from core systems. Our traditional SBA product does take a real-time automated feed, as it does provide data back in real time and in an automated fashion. Due to our desire to keep this onboarding process extremely lightweight, we're not doing that here, but we have a lot of experience and know what file formats to use and the type of data to provide. So that's what we're going to leverage in this process.
Good deal. Brad, I don't know if you have anything just to conclude, and we'll wrap it up.
Just on the system itself, like how user-friendly it seems to be, is there a way to interface the application where that they can get some of their information from that flows, number of employees, the loan amount, loan numbers, and then where's all that data stored at? And talk about the SOX security standpoint of that, since it's going to be sitting out there on your cloud or whatever.
Yeah, sure. So I'll answer the second part first because it's real easy. Is we are SOC 2 compliant, and we're happy to provide all of our security materials to anyone that needs to see those. So we're pretty well covered there. I'm not sure I fully understand the first part of the question. I'll try, and then you can feel free to follow up. We are collecting the various bits of information that you asked for, but we're trying to minimize what we're asking and then calculating the rest. And so, for example, we're doing some initial questions around, what are your full-time equivalents? We are capturing it in the same way that the SBA requires. So we'll ask both for under and over 100,000 in terms of annual salary, the full-time equivalent for each. But then we're doing all of the downstream calculations from there. So we're adding those together. We're doing the ratio against the original FTE against, at the time of the PPP loan origination. We're not forcing the borrower to go through all of the math, but they do have to provide sort of the initial inputs if that's what you were asking.
Yes, that is. And then did you say banker-led, where the banker can help the borrower?
That's correct. And so if I just do this real quick, right, they have the ability here to edit the application natively in their banker portal here that I was showing. It's actually the exact same sort of layout and structure. So even if they're over the phone, they can both be looking at it and talking to it in the same way, but they have the ability to access that here as well.
Thank you.
Adam, thanks very much. That's we got to have to stop you there, my friend. Appreciate it.
Understand. Thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you. Well done. Next up, we have Procedure. If you want to please share your screen, Adam, unshare yours and unmute. And
Hi, how you doing? This is Ken Gatz. I'm just waiting for them to unshare the screen.
I'm trying to figure out how to get to it. My apologies, everyone.
Just hit the stop sharing. The red button.
There it is. Sorry about that. My apologies.
No worries.
Adam, if you could just mute yourself, please.
Great. Hi, my name is Ken Gatz. I'm the founder and CEO of Procedure Technologies. What I'm going to be demoing today is our PPP loan management platform, which we just created actually over the last week in response to the need. I'm going to approach this from a perspective of internal collaboration from the banking side and how these loans can be managed with the banking teams. So the platform that we're going to show is really comprised of 3 different components. The first part is the ability to collect these documents and ping the borrowers to submit the different pieces of information that are required, the internal management of these loans as they move through a task workflow within the bank, and then reporting as far as portfolio analysis on these loans, being able to visualize and kind of dive into that information from the banking perspective. Key points just to take away here is rapid configuration. So as these things change, We're going to be able to very quickly change the settings as well as calculations. Our tool is very focused on remote collaboration of teams, which is how it's used in over 50 Fortune 500 companies, as well as we have integrations to pull this information in an import, not connecting to the core system to address that question before it comes, but we can do an import that way. And with that, I will jump into the demo. Great. So if you could see my screen, we're looking at this from the perspective of, a potential bank, ICBA community bank we're using here as an example. As you can see here, we've created workflow processes in which these loans will move through a different workflow related to the processing of these loans. So we've got a loan approved where it's coming into the system through either our API, through an uploaded spreadsheet, or through a front-facing consumer application. Second is, we're going to request information from the borrower. This will issue credentials, I'll get to that in a second, to the borrower to be able to log in and upload documents and other relevant information, due diligence reviews and checklists and things that need to be completed at different stages within the workflow process, bucketing these as far as which loans need to be forgiven and which ones have payments required. So if I drill down into one of these that originally just comes into the platform, you can see here that we've got basic information that's come into the system on the loan information. The forgiveness information is not in here yet. We would then go into here and invite the borrower. That would send credentials to the borrower to begin and a link with a message and information in what to upload and how to upload it. And then they would receive that and be able to log in. If I go back here, I'm going to go to one in which those credentials have already been issued. So if we look at this company here, Invigoron Industries, in this example, the borrower has already logged in. We have the PPP information on the loan, as well as the forgiveness information has been in here. You can upload and make changes from the side of the bank. There is the document management, which is automatically populated with folders, as well as information on the loans and how to fill it out, as well as folders for them, shared folders for them to upload these documents. We have a collaboration stream for the internal banking team to be able to be collaborating on each of these loans, as a lot of them have been working remotely, as well as any activities and tasks that need to be performed at different stages in the process. From a reporting standpoint, we integrate with Power BI. And so from a high level here, you can see that we have all the loans that have been made within a particular organization, total loan amounts, repayment options, of data that's summarized across a portfolio. And then as you see here, the different stages of where each of these loans or data rooms exist within the workflow process, as well as time points when these loans were made, which tranches they were in, as well as different breakdowns. And we can build this out very rapidly to adjust to a different data point. Additionally, you can drill down into this information and see the resulting loan data rooms and all the information contained within there. And with that, I will stop and take questions.
Great job, Ken. Thank you. Right on time. Appreciate that.
Do you mind if I go, Wayne?
No, please, Bob. Go ahead.
So you showed us a lot of the bank side of this, but what have you built for the consumer to help the consumer get through this process? Because I think that's going to be the biggest stumbling point for most of our community bank customers. Most of them are fairly small and don't understand the whole process. So what are you doing on the customer side? Thanks.
Yeah, so on the customer side, when that link is sent to the borrower, the way we've approached it is they have basically a PDF of giving them certain basic instructions. We believe also it is going to be complex for a lot of these forms and calculations, and there is going to be some manual attention needed by the banking team, and that's why we have focused the solution on the collaboration on the banking side. And so We gave them basically just general places to upload documents and instructions on what to upload. And yes, a lot of that responsibility we believe will fall on the banking teams in order to collaborate and communicate with these borrowers. And that's how we've engineered the solution.
Jack, you look like you've got a question here. Thanks, Ken.
Will you have a calculator for the small business to use, either as a what if or to start the process?
Yes, we created a small calculator that exists within a Excel template that is automatically populated to those folders so that they will have that to be able to work it. And it also gives us ease to make changes as these rules, which we believe will change over time.
Awesome. Brett?
Say that you get through all the folders and it's ready to go. What warnings or updates does the banker get that they're lacking information? Is it real time? And then what's the integration piece to upload it to SBA?
Yeah, so to your point, yes, they will get, as every document gets uploaded, so we're approaching it from a collaboration aspect, both within the banking team as well as with the borrower. And so every time a document is uploaded, you're going to get a notification to the deal team leader that's on each of these opportunities. So they would be indicated within the site here. As you can see, that you'd set a deal lead, and that person would get notified every time that there was any updates or any hits on the audit trail of this particular opportunity.
Any e-sign capabilities?
Yes, we integrate with HelloSign.
Okay, thanks.
That's great. I'm going to call it there if I could. Ken, great job. Thanks for being on time and on point. Thank you to our audience too. Just to give you guys a little feel for that, we've had over 400 people participating today from outside. So thank you all for being a part of this. We're better than halfway. Next is Q2. So if you would introduce yourself and take the screen, Brad, we'll get you going. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Can.
All right, fantastic. Hello, everybody, and I want to thank you for taking time out of your day and allowing Q2 the opportunity to talk about our PPP forgiveness solution. My name is Brad Johnson. I'm a director within our solutions consulting team here at Q2, working primarily with the cloud lending division. Within cloud lending, we have a loan origination platform built on the Salesforce platform. We processed about 35,000 PPP loan applications through that. We have now transformed that functionality to accommodate the forgiveness efforts that all the banks and small businesses are about to go through. And I want to just take a couple minutes and talk about that. I've got just some slides and screenshots. I don't have an actual live demo, but let's just kind of talk through the pieces. So it starts with getting the data into the application. Of course, we had some financial institutions use our platform for the PPP application process, so we have that data, but many did not. And for those institutions that did not, we provide a very simple CSV or Excel file import process wherever they get that data, whether it's from the core or whether it's from eTran. We also have XML. If you get it out of eTran in XML format, we could ingest that as well so that we have all of that loan data. Much like many of the other vendors, there's two pieces to our solution. One is the digital engagement layer, which is the borrower interaction where they can enter data, upload documents, have transparency into the process. And then there is the back end side, which is the bank managing the process with workflow, document requirements, generating the 3508, so on and so forth. So I will take you through kind of how we're approaching both of those here very quickly. So the digital engagement layer, the borrower is notified via email, they're authenticated in, and our system, as I mentioned, is built upon the Salesforce platform. And we're taking kind of a TurboTax approach to the process where simplifying the data collection and then allowing with supporting tooltips and then allowing the borrower to enter the data. It's all being collected, pushed to the back end, then the calculations will be done as far as forgiveness is concerned. The bank can go ahead and verify those, make adjustments if they so choose. They may not want to do that. They may want to lock people out of that. And then the document will be signed via e-sign. Now we do allow if A borrower wants to, enter their individual employee information so we can calculate the FTE adjustment. We can do that. We looked at, and just to adjust the question, at this point, we don't actually take a feed from, say, a payroll company. We're looking into that, but as of this morning, we were not there yet. The 35,000 or so loans that we processed through our application, 85% of those were less than 20 employees. Only 2% of those were greater than 100 employees. So, catering to the masses, this is a pretty simple process to allow small businesses to just enter their employees as opposed to try and mess with the file import. In addition, sorry about that. In addition, document management is a key piece of this equation. So within our platform, the document requirements will be there. The borrower will know about which documents are required. They will have the ability to then upload those. On the back end, the institution will review, approve, or reject. If they reject, they can send the borrower, messages as to, or a note as to why it is being rejected, and then they work through the process. Additionally, and I don't have a screenshot of it, but I will mention it because I think it's a unique feature. It was a request by financial institutions, and that is the ability for a borrower to enter a dispute. So let's say that it's a partial forgiveness situation, and the borrower looks at it and does not agree. Our portal does accommodate a dispute function where they can enter a dispute that workflows into the back office into a specific queue, so the bank can treat that uniquely and address that kind of as it needs to be addressed. So dispute management is part of that.
At about 30 seconds, Brad.
Yes. In the back office, workflow capabilities, dashboard, can review the calculations. So that whole process is part of the back office. You see in the middle of the screen, it's very small, some red warnings. If a borrower did not meet certain thresholds, we can create warnings and alert the bank. And then lastly is the macro reporting capabilities with the dashboard. Gives you the ability, for example, people that are in partial forgiveness could be in a specific tile, and you could drill down and look at those and manage those accordingly. So I will stop there. Very quick run through, and we'll see what questions you might have.
Thanks very much, Brad. Appreciate it. And let me just take one quick question from the audience, and the audience should know that they can submit questions. We'll do our best to try to deal with those. The question was from an anonymous attendee: how are the payroll itemized calculations handled?
How are the payroll itemized calculations handled? We are handling them as per the guidelines by the SBA. Now, we actually have two options as to what a bank might want to do. Well, I should answer it like this. One option is for us to do all the calculations. And then another option is to require the borrower to do the calculations and enter the resulting data. So we've had conversations with banks that have went back and forth, so we are going to actually accommodate both options.
One of the other questions that's cropped up too, and I think we've seen our panel ask this question consistently, and for those of you who remain participants from the fintech side, is clearly implementation time, obviously because of the critical need for...
Yep. Implementation time is 7 days. So from the time the contract's executed, our goal is to have a 7-day window for implementation. Cost, I'll just address that because that has come up. It's based upon the number of PPP loans processed.
Good deal. Jack, did you want to start us off?
Yes. Who handles the dispute if the customer disputes?
If the customer disputes, it is routed according to the bank's rules within our workflow platform on the back end. So it would go to somebody's queue. It would end up on somebody's desk.
At the bank.
At the bank. At the bank.
Thank you.
Bob?
Do you have a term for the contract? And also, it looks like this is still kind of a work in process, which I'm sure everybody's is still a work in process, but how complete are you, or are you working towards something that?
Sure. Contract term is 12 months. And as far as, it is a work in process. I would venture to guess that every vendor on here would say that. We are implementing this week our first couple of institutions. So, as the SBA pivots and announces new guidance, we are obviously going down that path as well. But we do have actually 3 institutions that are implementing this week. So it's very far down the path.
And last, Brad, I think you also had a question, please.
Core integration, E-Tran and Colson integration.
Yes. E-Tran integration, yes. Given the rapid nature of implementation, we are not integrated with the core, and we are not integrated with Colson.
And then you just manage the non-integration with cores with spreadsheets or just some data fields?
Yeah, so it would be an extract out of the core or the bank's data warehouse, and just a CSV file, and we can ingest that.
Thank you.
Great. Brad, thanks very much. I appreciate it. Good job. We'll once again just remind folks that you can learn more about these companies by going to theventurecenter.co/PPP Tech. And you'll find their logos. Click on those, and that will connect you with them. And if you could unshare your screen now, we've got Spark up next with Nick, who has got the best Corona beard we've seen so far. So where are you, Nick? There you are. Good deal.
Yeah, appreciate the call out on the beard there. Thanks everybody for joining. Just kind of want to walk through our forgiveness solution real quick. Spark's here to collaborate, automate, help lenders collaborate, automate, and grow. Pre-COVID, we did about $1 billion in originations across the SBA 7A space. So we've been a really strong supporter of the SBA 7A program from the beginning. Spark platform handles everything from an initial inquiry to the secure app, underwrite, forms submission, closing, disbursement, and reporting. We've been a native E-Tran integration now for about the better part of 6-7 years. Fully integrated with DocuSign, all the native SBA form support, including the new 3508. And a SOC 2 certified solution. Implementation timeline, again, standard kind of 24, 48-hour turnaround from a signed contract when we get an instance up. From there, again, the cost as well for the PPP solution is on a per app basis. Across rounds 1 and 2, we did about 25,000 PPP loans across our lender network for about $5 billion of loan origination activity. Quick topics we'll run through today. Talk a little bit about some of the open items that we see. We always look at this from a people, process, and technology standpoint, and then try to get to the Q&A. Again, from the people, we do know that there's small business owners and bankers are going to be coordinating on this together. We fully expect that to be occurring here with our solution. The process, we're a very process-heavy tool, so we'll talk through how the small business owner submits their forgiveness app, how the lender reviews that, and then the magical submission to SBA Colson that nobody knows anything about yet. And from tech, again, we're going to be leveraging a lot of the Spark concepts that are native to the solution, which is kind of how we are able to get to market fairly quickly, given what we know today. So again, the open items, lenders' role in the forgiveness process itself continues to change, seems to be daily. So we're kind of building a very flexible solution to handle that change. We're expecting more changes in the methods that their SBA is going to use to arrive at the forgiveness calculation. So again, we've seen it change from 75-25 to now reduction in wages, to now FTEs, to now something else. So we're heading down an Excel workbook path that allows for import-export, which is a more flexible route versus sort of all the native coding that needs to be done in the solution. That will allow us to continue to evolve as the rules and guidance evolves. And again, the integration with SBA and Colson, once that guidance comes out, we expect to be fully implemented there. Today, we're obviously fully integrated with the SBA in our working on the Colson piece. So our workflow, it's kind of 3 different folks involved. The borrowers themselves, they'll be submitting to our borrower portal. They'll get an automated notification 8 weeks after their disbursement date. We are also using the loan import methodology of an Excel workbook. So they'll be able to come into this portal, track their use of funds, upload any supporting documentation, and then execute the 3 calculations there inside the portal. Bankers will be notified when those applications come in. They'll be reviewing that information, revising, approving, rejecting, accepting, etc. From there, then we start to move into unicorn land, where they'll be approving those items, and then into the rainbows where nobody knows yet how we're going to be submitting the information to Colson and SBA. Again, we're planning to leverage a very locked down Excel workbook for the import-export, which we'll get to in just a moment. And we'll be, again, as guidance comes out, whether it's coming through an E-Trans servicing API modification or 1502 functionality through Colson, one of the two, we'll be ready for both. For those of you that like squares and arrows, this is more of the process. Borrower notified, borrower submits, lenders notified. Again, it's the very common sort of stepped approach towards getting to a submission to the SBA. Quick solution review. Again, as everybody knows, we're all in flux here. So the forgiveness app will have the sections to it, the 3 sections. In this case, a forgiveness worksheet. They'll be downloading that, providing the information and uploading it back. We'll be able to track use of funds, FTEs, and all of the different documentation that's required as part of the solution. Again, we'll offer that as a download, upload capability. There'll also be some native functionality inside of Spark. As you can see here, looking at a loan amount, forgiveness calculation, and then the status of that. So they'll be able to kind of go at different categories, eligible uses, and then associate use of funds and documentation to that. Borrowers will get here either through a secure link, or if they have originated a loan inside of Spark, it'll just extend their current portal. As you can see in the top there, forgiveness application is the next phase for this application. In terms of tracking use of funds, borrowers will come in, document their expected uses. Again, in that Excel workbook, you can see the little Excel link there, which links back to the number. We'll auto-calculate those values and then require documentation at the individual use category. So in this case, you're seeing payroll costs being documented by payroll documentation, and all of that being done securely. In terms of tracking the employees, again, that's a section of that workbook, and they'll come back in here. It'll link right back in and also offer the ability to upload that supporting documentation for the lender.
Nick, you're getting kind of close on time, if you could, my friend.
Yep. And then we estimate the forgiveness amount that gets submitted back to the banker. Banker then reviews it. They've got a forgiveness app that they can use to kind of go in and review the work. They'll approve that forgiveness application, and then from there, again, under development, this is where we get into rainbows. We'll be submitting that to SBA or Colson, which is again under development, and we're waiting for final guidance on how that all shapes up. I'll open it up for questions.
Thanks very much. Jack, you look like you're prepared for with a question. Can I call on you to begin?
Yes. You talk about $1 billion of loans that you've helped manage. Can you give us an idea how many institutions and size-wise? And then just as a follow-up question, are you ready to stand up this product today?
So we're not ready to stand it up today. We wrap up final development tomorrow, stabilize next week, and we launch June 1st with our forgiveness app. We've been standing up Spark instances for the past 8 years across a wide variety of both banks, non-banks, community development financial institutions, community banks, and large banks. So everybody from a very small CDFI to a $150 billion bank, all of it is operating on the Spark platform today.
There were a couple questions from the Q&A. One of them was, when you're submitting the applications, are you doing a batch or individual submission?
Yeah, we expect that SBA/Colson will come out with the ability to do both individual and batch. And that's kind of how it evolved in the last submission. We also expect throttling to occur to some point following the PPP origination activity.
And somebody also asked, are your worksheets controlled? Is Spark liable for any non-compliance per SBA?
Yeah, so all that's handled in our different master subscription agreements that govern disputes and liabilities and indemnification that goes on with the platform. It is locked down.
Yeah, cost and length of term of contract.
Yeah, term of contract is typically 12 months initially, especially for the PPP volume, knowing that it's a one-time thing. And then, of course, we mentioned earlier, it's a number of apps, and we're happy to talk about those offline.
Thanks.
Brad?
Tech support, you're already up and running in SBA lending, so what's the tech support look like from the borrower and the banker side?
Yeah, so the tech support on the bank side, we leverage what we call our customer success team, and they're responsible for getting the banks to use the technology in the best way possible. We staff that support function. There's also, and then we rely on the bank itself to sort of designate a front line of support for the borrowers that are facing very much like Numerated. We kind of support both looks where the banker is seeing what the borrower is seeing, the borrower and interacting. That's all sharing in the same data in the same place.
Great, Nick. That about wraps it up for your session here. Thank you very much, and keep working on that beard. Next, we have Street Shares up. So if I think Mickey and Brendan are going to be pitching Street Shares to us today and showing a demonstration of that product. If you guys want to go ahead and take that.
Thank you, Wayne. Hopefully you can hear me okay there.
Hello,
everyone.
Good to go, Mickey. Thanks. Brendan.
Okay. You can hear me as well, Wayne?
We can. Thanks, Brendan.
Excellent. Thank you. Hello, everybody. I'm Brendan DeBella, our Chief Commercial Officer, and I am joined by Mickey Conson, our President, doing the demonstration. We know that many of you bare-knuckled your way through PPP lending, and you simply cannot handle forgiveness the same way. So please know that you can leverage everything you're about to see here from Mickey. It's quick and easy to launch no matter how you did PPP loans or where they may reside. Our solution is specifically designed to help you, the community bank. In fact, how would you like to know by this Saturday how much of your portfolio is going to be forgiven already? We have tools in market now doing that and can help you. This is in fact already the engagement tool with our forgiveness package for community bankers. Bankers are using it as we speak. Briefly on Street Shares, we're mission driven, just like community banks. We're nearly 7 years old. We're proud to be, as we say, banker built, military grade, and we've proudly been attending ICBA Live for the last 3 years. If you can remember anything from the demonstration you're about to see, it is 3 things from Mickey. You can immediately engage your PPP borrowers now with tools that exist today. You can leverage a powerful banker forgiveness application LOS, and you can maximize forgiveness for them and you and strengthen your relationships. Over to you, Mickey, please.
Hi, everyone. As Brendan said, my name is Mickey Conson, co-founder and president of Street Shares. I've been doing lending for a very long time, including SBA lending. And so loan forgiveness is going to be like nothing we've ever done before. It's not a normal part of lending, and so institutions aren't well prepared for this. The rules are highly complex, they're fluid, and if you've looked at the 3508, you know there is a lot of math involved. Multiple time periods, FTE averaging, payroll amounts, separating interest from principal. This is going to be hard. So the Street Share solution is built around easy math. Immediate engagement of your customers starting today, a powerful banker loan operating system leading to maximize and efficient forgiveness and a strong basis to grow your book of business with these customers. So it all starts with engagement. The first suite of products that we made available will start to engage your customers today, educate them, and help them make decisions while they still can that will maximize forgiveness. So our product starts with engaging your customers through educational content. While we on this call are all very concerned about forgiveness, many small business owners are not even aware of this process that they will need to go through. So education engagement is key. We built a calculator that can be pre-filled with customer information, but we're trying to get a handle on a prospective view of what these customers are actually spending their PPP loan proceeds on, what the employment picture looks like, any changes that will happen. So we want to understand a simplified view of what the forgiveness might look like. We're also providing a powerful tool for the customer to run scenarios and to get educated on what levers they have so that they can make decisions today. On the back end, our web-based LOS will allow institutions to see the results of this early engagement. While these are not definitive, they will allow you to start to see estimates of what forgiveness on your portfolio might look like, what engagement levels, what spend analysis and early risk ratings on your portfolio might look like. These will allow you to do adequate capital planning, but also have an empirical basis for requesting reimbursements from the SBA at the 7-week mark before you've actually got loan forgiveness applications. In early to mid-June, the first actual loan forgiveness applications will be able to be processed. And our solution will provide a forgiveness hub, a loan operating system, and analytics portal, as well as SBA submission and core boarding. So instead of creating another linear application, we've created a customer hub for forgiveness. Much of this can be pre-filled, but the hub will allow customers to enter updated information required to process their forgiveness. This is very similar to a TurboTax-like experience where customers can constantly true back to the amount forgiven in a gamified format to help keep them engaged. Guided document upload as well as data integrations will simplify the process, and we will not require the customer to do any math or to hire an accountant to do any math. On the back end, our LOS will allow the institution to quickly and easily upload data, verify the various elements, and invite their customers to access loan forgiveness portal to complete the process. We have a purpose-built workflow for forgiveness, just like we did in PPP, that will allow the bank to move their customers through the various verifications, approvals, get real-time updates, all the way through signature and SBA submission. This will also provide a basis for internal and external audits, and finally, boarding to the core system. Over to you, Brendan.
Thank you, Mickey. We're proud of our results in the PPP lending rounds. Our community banks told us they simply couldn't have gotten by without the tools you saw. I checked with the banks to say, can I use these quotes? And Richard Olson insisted we use this quote from Envision Bank, that he could not have done the PPP lending process without us. I would end with our final slide here. To remind you of the 3 key elements. You can immediately engage your PPP customers now. You could have a portfolio view as early as Saturday of what's going to happen in forgiveness. You can leverage the powerful forgiveness tools that Mickey showed you regarding the dashboards, and you should try to maximize forgiveness, of course, for your customers. Help them now and strengthen your relationships. You can reach us creatively at ppp@streetshares.com. 2 or 4 Ps will work. Thank you, Wayne. Thank you for the panel and the opportunity. We're ready for your questions.
Thank you, guys. Great job. Brad, you want to?
Yeah, I'll go first if you don't mind. So is this the same solution that Fiserv has out there?
Yeah, we're marketing our solution together with Fiserv, and so we are. They have a couple of solutions. One is specific to a couple of their cores. Our solution is agnostic to core, so we can actually integrate with any of the Fiserv cores, and in fact with any core outside of that as well. We did, I think, 7 core boardings after PPP.
And pricing?
Pricing is on a per loan basis, very similar to what has been said before. It scales down per loan based on based on the volume, but it's on a per loan basis.
Brad, I think you had something.
Mickey, I love your Alabama accent, by the way. So do you integrate with the core and the current PPP loans, and do you send a mass email out within the 8 weeks to know that it's time for forgiveness?
Oh, thank you. It's always good to hear another Southern accent. I'm from South Africa, so I appreciate Southern accents. Yes, we do integrate with cores. We output files that can be integrated into the cores, and we did so successfully, as I said, I think in 7 cores during the PPP process. Your second question was really around mass emails. Part of what's built into our engagement platform is actually the ability to engage customers through emails. So we plan actually a series of emails out to your customers, because again, I think many of them are not even aware that they have to go through this process. So we actually think it's important to start engaging them even before their forgiveness is required, to start to get them used to it, make decisions right now, and provide some sort of scenario planning for them based on the calculator.
Guys, that's about it, unless the judges have any further, not judges, but the panelists.
One follow-up, contract term.
So we can get the engage process, since that is available today, we can get that stood up in 24 hours. And the actual forgiveness portal is actually embedded in that as well. So the application will be available once forgiveness opens up, and the SBA, all of the SBA guidance is finalized. But all of the technology is in place, and we can have it stood up within 24 hours or less.
Nikki, thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you to our bankers as well. Next up, we have Teslar.
Perfect. Can everybody hear me and see my screen before I get started?
We can, Joe. Fire away.
My name is Joe Earhart. I'm the CEO and founder of Teslar Software. And if you haven't heard of Teslar before, I'd like to start this call off with just giving you a quick introduction of kind of who we are and what we do before we jump into all the PPP fun. So first off, Teslar has an amazing board of directors that leads us every day in the community banking space. We're focused on community banks and helping them not just survive, but thrive, is like what we like to say. We're led by Camille Phillips at a community bank, Dr. Jeff Standridge, who helps in startups across the country, Mark Forbes, recently retired from Jack Henry, and Kevin Tweddle over at the ICBA. In fact, the way we got introduced to the ICBA is we were in the ICBA's inaugural Think Tech Accelerator, where we won Banker's Choice Award. So why did we win that award? Well, we won it for a basic concept of what Teslar does in general. And that is we help bankers take this kind of complicated solution that takes a lot of moving pieces and a lot of things, Excel sheets, you name it, and turn it into a simplistic solution that allows the bankers still to use best-of-breed solutions throughout their bank, while at the same time having a single platform so they can empower their bankers, so they can empower their customers and community. We do this for banks across the country. Here's a few samples of the banks that we do it for. Now you may ask, Joe, what does this have to do with PPP? Okay, great. I know what you do, but what does this do for PPP? Well, we do the same thing for PPP that you have going on that we do for the banks in general. And as we take this kind of complicated form that the customers are looking at, like, where do I even begin? And we turn it into this, a simple website embedded inside your website so that customers can go to your bank, where the place they trust, fill out a form, and then electronically sign it. And then you on the back end, you get to see all the results, feel confident it was filled out correctly, and then quickly look at the forgiveness per applicant. So before I get started in a demo, I am going to warn you that I'm going to talk a little quick. I recorded a 2-minute demo because I'm going to try to take you from the start to the finish through our running portal today. So that's running, and banks can go out and try today. So it's going to go a little quick, so just bear with me. This is a recorded video. We can come back for questions on it. First thing, imagine you got to go out and notify your borrowers to start forgiveness. Check, check, check. You hit go. They're going to get an email and an automatic link to log in. If I'm a lender and I'm John McDaniel, I can click in here and see which borrowers I'm working with. I can click edit, and at the top I can see all the stages of where we sit in this forgiveness. I can also drill in and see any documents that were uploaded, which, by the way, we do integrate to image systems to push these documents to imaging if needed. So quickly, let's look at what the borrower sees. They see a button to start forgiveness. Then they're going to see a wizard. Well, actually, they got to do MFA first to get logged in. They're going to see a wizard that's going to walk them through a very simple process. Step 1, step 2, step 3. They're going to come in and only fill out things that they need to fill out. No one's going to tell us covered period. They're going to have question marks for details if they need to know something more in detail. They're not going to tell us things that we should know that they can't mess with. We're going to skip worksheet for speed here and go straight to the Schedule A, but we do parse everything out of the worksheet if they use one of our worksheets or a compatible one we know about. Schedule A, everything that can be is auto-calculated. We're going to jump over to forgiveness. There's only 3 things really on forgiveness you got to fill out because everything's auto-calculated based off the results of the Schedule A. We're also going to tell the borrower here at the bottom if they didn't get their loan completely forgiven. One neat thing about our portal is they can come back and edit it. So they can start before forgiveness is even open, play around in it, see what it would look like, and come back later. And only when they can actually start forgiveness can they hit submit. So let's say I was okay with this number. And what's my next step? Well, my next step would be to go and submit my files. To this point, we've not asked them for any documentation. So now we're going to hit click, and you notice these red and green boxes. Green means I've uploaded a file, red means I haven't. One of the cool things that we've done to help protect you bankers and our customers all the time is we say, don't let the customer upload something if they didn't supply the right document. So if I said I had health insurance that I wanted forgiven, I have to supply a health insurance document. Now, the reason we waited till the end to ask for that is we did not want the customer to not be able to play around and look around in the solution. So only at the end do they actually have to upload the documents and submit them. Once they've uploaded their documents, they can actually go and sign it. And remember, this whole time, you're not at Teslar, you're inside your bank's website. So we'll go up here and we'll sign this. And we do it the SBA certified way in DocuSign, LexisNexis if required. Everything is pre-filled out, and the borrower just gets to attest to the actual application and click sign at the bottom and click complete, and they're done. On your side, you can come here at any point as they're filling it out, as they're playing around in it, see everything they've done, see what values they put in. All the documentation will be there as well. Now, I'm finishing on this screen. You can say, Joe, what is this screen? Well, Teslar has been known for a long time for our work assets, so helping people with substandard impaired loans. And we still do that today. But what we're doing is we're throwing into PPP forgiveness a workout plan for loans that do not get forgiven. So if the loan is not forgiven, we want to give it a way to transfer that knowledge to a place where your bankers can sit there and say, what's our plan? Are they going to balloon payment? Do we have a term for the next 18 months? And so let me go to my next slide. I know I'm probably running out of time here. So what did we see? We saw single platform for lenders. We saw a smart portal for your customers inside your website. We saw 1502, well, we didn't see that, but we have 1502 reporting if that is the way that the SBA decides that forgiveness should be paid out. We have a workout system for loans that don't get forgiven. And lastly, our mission is to help small businesses and community banks. So we are trying to make this as cost effective to your institution as possible. So for less, most of you pay for a credit report or you pay for an online mortgage app, you can do this per app and get this to your customers and not to your bankers.
Thanks,
so last thing I'll start with, you've got 3 things if you need to do. PPP loan list, 10 data points.
That's enough. I got to cut you off.
Okay, you're fine.
Okay. Brad, you want to go ahead and start, please?
Yeah, like how it's forward facing there, can the business owner start out by selecting if they don't have retirement costs, if they don't have health insurance, can they just bypass those? Is there like a yes or no button that they can just bypass it? And how will you know if the health insurance document or any other document is required? Is it based on something they've entered previously?
Correct, 100% correct, Brad. It's based on if they put in a health insurance amount, then it's going to require that document. And we do have some banks that want to update that to say, since some things require previous years as well, we may ask them questions. Are you sure the document's within this time period?
Okay. And would you discuss cost and stand-up time?
Sure. Yeah, the cost is, and I don't mind sharing it all, it's $20 an app, and that's it. That includes everything, DocuSign. There's no setup fee. We want to keep it very cost-effective for our community banks.
Thank you, Joe.
Joe, one of the questions that popped up is Tesla SOC compliant.
Yeah, I mean, we follow all compliances, including the SBA's guidance on e-signing. So, and I mean, we do stuff for banks every day.
Very good. Jack?
Joe, how about integration on the from our core side of it, or integration into SBA and Colson?
Yeah, great question. So Colson on the 1502 report is not a problem. Cores, we integrate with Cores every day, but since integration would take a while for most banks and we're in a hurry, we have pre-built queries that we can send to your bank if you're a Fiserv Premier Bank and say, hey, if you'll run this query, this will get 90% of the data we need to get started. And typically the only thing we don't get that we'll have to get from the SBA E-Tran is the SBA loan number. Most banks didn't put that in their core. So if you'd like to learn more, by the way, we have group demos going on tomorrow. You go to our website and sign up for it.
Hey, Joe, one follow-up question on the 1502 reporting that we've still got to do. Is there an integration that if we signed up now, you could help do that as well?
On that one, we're not, now that the guidance finally, I think, came out, today or yesterday, yeah. We're investigating that, but we believe absolutely, as long as it's the normal 1502 Colson reporting, it shouldn't be an issue. It's just getting the initial data. On forgiveness, we'll have all that data if they use the portal, but we don't have that on your PPP loans yet today.
And would there be additional fee for that in your mind?
It may be. We want to cover costs. I mean, at the end of the day, we just like to get you guys seeing what Tesla does for banks every day. To us, if we can make this good for you, good for the customers, and good for Tesla, that's what matters to us.
Thanks, Joe.
Bob, did you have a final question?
You can cut it off there. That's fine. So.
Joe, thanks very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Stuart, I think you're next with Zenu.
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
You can.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to present to you today. I'm the founder and CEO of Zenu. Zenu is a solution for onboarding customers, and it's designed for the digital age. So we focus very much on 2 main areas: customer interaction, making that simple, intuitive, and very configurable, and the ability to integrate into different systems like your core banking system, but also key third-party data providers. Our product is endorsed and sold by some leading companies in the world. Our solution is white labeled by these companies, but we also, for the case of PPP, sell directly. The key product that we've built here on the Zenu platform is for forgiveness. The applicant can, via mobile or desktop, provide all of the details that are required. We're able to integrate into the payroll providers to verify payroll data. We also have an interesting integration to all of the major accounting packages. which will allow the customer to verify their, log into their accounting package, and we can extract all of the data into a common format. It's able to connect into eTran in your core, and you can also do e-signatures via our product. So I'll show you a demo video because my demo takes 5 minutes. So I did it in a video and I'll show you just the highlights. This is a production system. You can email me and I can send you a link and you can try it out. So first of all, we can collect the applications online. This is a desktop version. So we can go through the process of providing key information about their company. We can verify their mobile. So in the case that you're providing us a data file that we send out to the customer via SMS or email, this is a method to verify that they are using OTP. We can collect key information on the customer record. This is highly configurable, so you can define what data you want to appear and in which stages. This gives you an example of logging into Plaid, which is our provider to verify payroll data. All of this data is brought down into the application file. The customer is given a forgiveness estimator or calculator where they can enter in the data online, and below it will give them some estimations on the amount forgiven and the remainder. You can also verify and collect documents. This is a really important feature. The customer can upload IDs or different documents, and using our different service providers, we can validate a lot of them at source. So your internal staff don't get bogged down with going back and forth with the wrong documents being provided. So this is an example of someone going through a quick application process for KYC to provide a driving license. So that is an example of our front end. As I said, that is available today, so you can actually review that yourself. Just a quick word on the configurability. This is our design studio. So this shows you actually the onboarding journey as a design tool. So what you can do from here is really configure exactly what you want to show the customer. You can view that in different angles. And the main premise of this is to provide a very intuitive and easy customer experience. From our interface here, you can also define what the onboarding journey is, what the steps will be, and any connections that you'd like to make. So just to wrap up, Zenus can support you beyond PPP. So our business is around onboarding customers. You can use the same stack to onboard or customers for loans, credit cards, accounts. It's a highly configurable platform. It can be provided to you as a cloud solution or on-premise, connects to all major providers, and gets you up and running very quickly.
Thanks.
All right.
Bob, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I mean, it appears that you've developed an online application, but how does that help the bankers? How does that help us process the whole PPP forgiveness? It
helps in that
right.
It's, first of all, it's the customer interaction layer. So the customer will receive the request, provide the data you're asking them, but importantly, it can connect into, let's say, their accounting packages, payroll providers, and provide back to you verified data, right? They can also upload their documents. They can sign contracts that are automatically generated, and all of that data can be pushed to your core. We also have a CRM system based on Salesforce, which is an app that we built specifically in Salesforce that allows you to do things like different workflows for different cases, review the application, request additional data from the customer directly from the CRM tool, which I can demonstrate to anyone who'd like to see that, obviously at a later date.
Stuart,
yeah.
Stuart, with that optionality on your platform, how does that affect the stand-up time? And then do you have a standard, this is what we can provide if you don't want to change the optionality?
Yeah, so for the front end, if we take the box standard onboarding journey, the stand-up time will be 2 to 3 days. If you want to make changes to it, we have a world-class platform to do that. So it's really, you can define a custom onboarding flow, custom screens. We can do an onboarding flow from end to end, completely custom in about 3 days, fully branded the bank. So I'd say that it's between 2 to 3 days stand up.
And pricing?
So pricing model, we can do the startup package from between $10,000 to $18,000, and that would be all inclusive.
Good deal. That's about a wrap there. So, Stuart, thank you very much. Before I hand it over to Charles, I just would like to ask I'd like to ask Jack and Bob and Brad to just maybe give 20 or 30 seconds of your thoughts as we conclude this. I want to also just thank everybody. This has been great. I'll let Charles do most of the wrap up here, and also Joanne. But I just would like to give Jack and Bob and Brad a chance to say whatever it is they would like to before we hand it over to Charles. Jack,
yeah, I'll kick it off. I mean, I think when we start this process, I was hoping to see 3 solutions that I could use. I think I saw 6 or 8, and not that any of them were bad, but that's a great opportunity for a lot of bankers on this call to say, I think a solution will be here. I think we're all a little bit different places. I hope the fintechs that were on the phone learned a little bit from the bankers as well. I think that's always the key, is our pain points going forward. So I thought it was very good, very well done.
Thanks, Jack. Bob?
Yeah, I'd like to thank the Venture Center, ICBA, and for all the companies that participated today. As Jack said, we saw some great solutions. I think you guys, I applaud all of you for the work that you've done to stand up and get your solutions ready for us. I think that the key is going to really be helping customers get through the data, inputting that data information to us, because I think that's really the shortfall that I see. And I think the bankers, most of our systems can handle the payments and that type of thing, but we've got to get through the whole verification. But thank you all.
Thank you, Bob. And Brad?
Yeah, same thing that the other 2 gentlemen said. I just appreciate ICBA and their partnership with the Venture Center. Charles and Wayne, kudos to you 2 for putting this together. I think we can see by the numbers that people are genuinely engaged and actively pursuing solutions for this. And for all the fintechs, unlike Jack, there's several that I could see us doing business with. So very good for y'all. And my challenge to the vendors is, don't beat us bankers up on long-term contracts or fees. I mean, we need some help, and use this as a way for you to get your foot in the door with bankers like Bob and Jack and myself and the others that were on this call. So just be gentle with us and know that this could build other business. So I just thank all of you for participating, and I thought it was a great day for us.
Charles, all yours. Thanks, bro.
Wow. Just wow. I could not be more ecstatic, proud, just joyful at what we got to see today. I think represented not only by the great leadership, Bob, Jack, Brad, helping run this program, Joanne and her team at AIR, Wayne, all of your wonderful people, and most importantly, all of the bankers who signed in to participate and listen today. Millions of businesses in the United States are being saved by a lot of the work that you guys are doing. And the vendors that are here today are some of those small businesses themselves. So the power of what we're seeing here today is profound. This happened in a very quick, short period of time, and everybody stood up to the task, just like we saw the bankers themselves stand up to the task of getting these PPP loans out. So like everybody else said, I think we learned a lot. I think we saw a lot of great options here. To all the fintech vendors who jumped in at the last minute, Thank you very much from the ICBA. We truly appreciate all your efforts, and hopefully we can continue doing this. This is a very important part of what we see as our role from the ICBA to help bring these types of solutions to bear in the marketplace when and where you guys need them. So thank you very much, Joanne.
Just one quick thing before we go to Joanne. I don't know if there's some members of your team you want to recognize. I know I certainly want to do that on my end.
Please, your team is just the magic behind the curtains.
Well, there's an ICBA team as well, but I want to say just thanks to Mimi and Becky and Daniel and my team here. Just I know all of us, both at AIR and the ICBA, these folks just like the fintechs and the bankers that we're working with, burning the candles at both ends to get this done. So applauding those guys. There we go. So there's good stuff. Okay. Ann, you want to take us down the last part of this? Thank you. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you. You're still on mute, Joanne. There we go.
So I just want to join in thanking everyone, the presenters, the audience, and our partners in this. It was a fascinating 2 hours. And one of the things that we are trying to do with this is distill from this some of the themes that we hope the SBA will be listening for as they continue to put out their guidance. So you can find all the presentations and information on these vendors both at the ICBA website and also ours, which is www.regulationinnovation.org. You can email us at hello@regulationinnovation.org if you have suggestions on things that we should pull into a summary and overview of what we learned today. And we're just thrilled to be able to try to help with this incredible, important problem. So everyone stay well and safe, and we'll look forward to next time.
It's a wrap. Thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, guys. Thanks, everybody.